the video. I'll get right to it. I'm going to tell you a little bit how to draw some heads and faces here. There are some professional techniques um, called the Loomis method and also the Riley method. And these methods are used to really break down the head into parts. And this is a professional technique that helps with your proportion and your placement of those features. Um, Now, my method works a little differently than this because when I'm drawing something, I'm not necessarily trying to draw the perfect head. If you read Loomis, his book, he talks about this, but basically, he's giving you a sense of the human male head, the human female head, and then the differences in children's sizes heads as well. But he basically breaks this down into parts, and he'll break it down into thirds. And by the time you're done with all the lines that you have to put into place to get the features, your head's broken down into thirds. Then there's the area for the eyes, there's areas for the cheeks. And by the time you're done, you have all these lines in place that your whole drawing just starts looking all mixed up and confused. Now, I think this is good for when you're doing paintings or maybe digital work and you're trying to be precise, because then you can color over it. You could do that with ink if you're doing comic books, and you could do it with painting or digital work. But if you're just trying to sketch, and you oftentimes will see a lot of cartoonists or whatever, they literally just start out by starting to place the features right in there. Probably somewhere in their head they've already painted kind of a mental picture of what they're trying to accomplish, and so then they just start filling in those details, and they start working around the silhouette, the peripheral area there first. So keeping that in mind, what I would suggest is, and hopefully you've been practicing your shapes, your circles, your triangles, and your squares, because really this is the foundation for when you're drawing your heads. Keeping character design in mind, you can go with a circle, and I typically do that. Sometimes I work off of a square or a type of rectangle. Maybe I put in a line for the eyebrows and a line there just to kind of keep things symmetrical if I'm trying to do that. But then the next step is I'm trying to decide, well, what kind of features do I want to put in there? What kind? Is it a big nose? I mean, sometimes I want to do that. Am I going to have the united eyes here, like a Tasmanian devil type character? And is my mouth, is it even a human that I'm trying to draw? I think as beginning artists, we really can see a lot of different examples of art. And when we see professionals give us that great advice, like the Loomis method and Riley method, we start working off of that because we think this is the kind of thing that's going to make us, get us into that area that these great artists are at. But they also have 10, 20, 30 years underneath their belt, and they're trying to give you this sense of what those fundamentals are and the techniques, and it's all an honest attempt to just give you the best advice. But I think as beginning artists, you want to have fun. And if you make a square head man, and his eyes are square, maybe he's got a square nose too, and just a simple mouth, well, Squarehead Man could end up being on Cartoon Network, and along with the Chainsaw Head guy, it's using your imagination to come up with anything and exercising your imagination, but in conjunction with your techniques so that you can put that idea that you have on the page. Not everything that you have to do, though, has to be perfect or an end result. It's really just has to be giving you that sense of what those foundations are. Again, if you're starting out with a rectangle, go ahead and give yourself some proportion lines. Give yourself a symmetrical center line there. Put those features right there in between those proportion lines. Sometimes we can extend that down, and then we can say, okay, let's put it all in between the top line and that lower line, the nose and the eyes. And we can put a mouth into the third section there. Breaking it down into parts is a good way. There's not one way to do this. It could be your way. And, it could be a robot without having a head. He could have a, you know, a flat skull with light bulbs coming out of it, or I guess I just drew some ears there. Um, I had drawn some stuff earlier in thinking about this method, and there's a local cryptid like Bigfoot that we have called the Dewey Lake Monster, and he has a cone head. Well, when you're going to draw, the Loomis method isn't going to work so great here because you're going to start out with a cone, and who's to say that his eyes have to be here? Maybe they're up here. Maybe his mouth is way down here. And that Loomis method relies on proportions that are consistent, excuse me, with the human face. Here is a character that I was sketching out that reminded me from a character from Dick Tracy called Littleface. Google that once and look up that clip from the Warren Beatty movie where they're sitting at the table, and Littleface, he's got this little face and he's got this huge head. He's wearing a little tiny top hat, which is hilarious. Also, a character from Dick Tracy was a character called Flat Top, and he had a flat top head. There was Prune Face, that was this character that I was kind of referencing here. And that's really actually a really good example of how shape is more important than proportion or being specific to how the head looks naturally. Also, when you're learning to draw, it's great to learn that Loomis method if it's useful for you, but if you're learning to draw any other creature, maybe it's an insect, they don't conform to those proportions. So a person who's trying to learn to draw, you really need to understand that what you're doing is the best way to learn how to draw, is to draw and draw in your own unique way. Be weird about it, have fun with it, entertain other people, entertain yourself. And then along the way, just be open to new information. I would always say reading, watching cartoons, reading comic books, just absorbing the visual material is going to help you the most. At the core of everything, though, is going to be your shapes, and then eventually learning how to draw in perspective, a linear perspective, which was my previous video. Also, understanding how to add value into your drawings. And so, when you're drawing these faces and whatnot, you're learning to where to put the shadows to kind of give that character now a three-dimensional look. So all those things are really important. I'm going to end the video here. I appreciate it. Go ahead and subscribe. I'm trying to add a video a week. And like the video, that helps too. And comment. I appreciate hearing any of your opinions or your thoughts. Well, thanks again. Bye.